History is a fragile thing. It's a long chain of moments where a single link breaking can change everything. Let's imagine one such moment. The year is 1918. The Great War rages across Europe. A young German corporal, Adolf Hitler, serves on the Western Front. In our story, he doesn't survive. The cause doesn't matter. What matters is that he is gone. Without its fanatical leader, the Nazi Party never rises from the ashes of Weimar. The beer halls of Munich remain just that, places for beer, not for plotting world domination. The nightmare of War II in Europe never arrives. But the world doesn't simply stop. Pre-existing tensions still simmer. Across the globe in the vast Pacific, another power rises. The Empire of Japan, with imperial ambitions and a desperate need for resources, continues aggressive expansion. The United States, isolationist in spirit, watches with growing concern. It's 1941. Pearl Harbor still glitters, until the attack. For Great Britain, no Blitz, no Battle of Britain, no Dunkirk. The nation is spared immense sacrifice. Without the existential threat across the Channel, Britain's attention turns inward and eastward. The drumbeat of independence movements becomes the dominant political issue. Leaders like Gandhi and Nehru press for self-rule. Pressure on London would be immediate. At home, economic divisions and unemployment force the government to choose between welfare and empire. Industrial unrest, demand for housing and healthcare, all without a galvanizing war effort. Militarily, resources shift to the Royal Navy to protect trade and colonies. Diplomatically, Britain becomes an arbiter, trying to contain the Pacific conflict rather than joining as a major combatant. Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union faces a different strategic landscape without a Nazi invasion. Previously, Stalin built buffer zones to buy time against Germany. Without that threat, his paranoia doesn't vanish, it finds a new focus. When the US and Japan go to war, Moscow watches the Far East closely. The USSR and Japan have already clashed. Khalkhin Gol proved that the frontier matters. If Japanese power drains into the Pacific, Soviet Siberian armies are freed for other moves. Stalin's choice is pragmatic. What benefits the USSR most? Supporting Japan would be unthinkable. Japanese imperialism threatens Soviet influence. He would wait, give the two giants time to bleed, then strike to seize territory with minimal cost. An alliance between the United States and the Soviet Union would be a marriage of pure convenience. Without Hitler, the ideological chasm is even wider. For the US, Soviet help would relieve the burden of a massive Pacific land effort. For Stalin, cooperation is a tool for expansion, bases, islands, northern China, Korea. He would demand massive supplies and modern gear under a Lend-Lease-style program, all while modernizing his army, both to fight Japan and to prepare for future rivalry. Negotiations would be fraught, Americans wary of sharing technology, Soviets suspicious of American aims. They would be allies in war and immediate enemies after it. The seeds of a Cold War sown in Asia. Confining the major conflict to the Pacific accelerates a global shift away from Europe. Two superpowers, the industrial might of the USA and the land forces of the USSR, rise to dominate the outcome. The war would be almost exclusively naval and aerial. Island battles, carrier tactics, massive logistics. With no European front, American industry focuses entirely on the Pacific, possibly hastening Japan's defeat. The atomic bomb would still be developed as a way to avoid a costly invasion. After victory, Asia, not Europe, becomes the map on which the Cold War is drawn. A bamboo curtain descends across the Far East. Looking back from 2025, this alternate history presents stark contrasts. Europe spared. No Holocaust, no firebombing, no slaughter of a generation. But Britain trades its finest hour for a prolonged imperial twilight and painful colonial conflicts. Stalin's ambitions were independent of Hitler, he simply turns east. An uneasy US-Soviet alliance defeats Japan, then becomes immediate rivals. The Cold War begins in Asia. Removing one villain doesn't solve the world's problems, it changes where they play out. History is a web. Pull one thread and the tapestry unravels in ways we cannot fully predict. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more alternate histories.